And good morning, everybody. It is Fabulous Friday featuring Ken Fay. And today we are discussing him and we're discussing visual storytelling. Now, I've recently met you, Ken, and we immediately hit it off. And I find you very engaging and totally interesting. So please take it away, Ken. Tell us about you. And hey, you've even got under there, Ken Fay, storyteller. Tell us about you.
Claudia, it's wonderful to be here and wonderful to be here with everyone that's watching, listening. Really, when I say, when you say, tell me about you, I'm like, I would always start with, no, 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 tell me about you. Because as a storyteller, it's all about listening. It's all about listening to somebody else, right? So someone says, what's your story? I'm like, great question. And, it comes back to just that. I grew up in this environment where it was always about finding the story in things. When you're a kid and you have imagination and you're playing out there in the yard, right? You're making up entire worlds. And then you get your friends together and you're creating stuff, right? You're just making things. I don't think that little gene of DNA that we all have ever really quite went away from me. So I was able to hold on to that
Yeah.
and kind of do something with it. And that's where it started.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it started. But I know there's a lot more to this because you and I have already spoken,
Yeah.
and I find you fascinating.
Well, I appreciate that. That little spark that we all have, and it was a summer break, and it was middle school, right? The days of middle school, and you have a summer break, and you're not old enough to work yet, but the hours are too long not to do anything. So I remember sitting there with my brother. We had just got a camera. What are we going to do with this thing? I'm like, well, let's just shoot scenes from Robin Hood. So we just started breaking. Yeah, we started writing on a napkin like the scenes that we're going to shoot from Robin Hood. We had no idea what we were doing, no idea at all. All we had is a camera and a dream, and just like we're going to do this. So we actually made costumes. We actually made sets and scenes, and my brother acted out every part, and I just ended up rolling the camera and directing it from that early age. And sure enough, that's just day one. So day two, we wake up wanting to do it, and then all the kids wanted in the neighborhood want to be a part of it, so they're playing parts, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And who are we doing it for? Our parents, right? They're the only ones going to watch this thing. But the process of going through, and I'll tell you, going through about a month of doing that, like every day almost, we're like into this movie making thing. It was just a lot of fun. We just captured the spirit of what it is to make a movie, and that really awakened in me, how can I really do this in the future? So flash forward, go through school, get my media arts degree, have a bit of background in theater and journalism, and I'm like, okay, now I can do something real with this. And I started looking at the world in a different lens, literally,
Yeah.
where I start framing everything. And I'm like, this is pretty incredible stuff. Well, that turns into being a production assistant, and that turns into being a script writer, because they said we need a script writer, and I raised my hand. I'm like, I can do that. The trick is just keep saying yes.
Yeah.
I can
Oh,
do that.
yeah.
I want to learn that. I'm going to do that. Just keep saying yes, and then envision your future self. And I know you talk about that a lot,
Oh,
where
yeah.
you're play that movie in your head where it's going, and that's exactly right. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a production assistant the best I can, but I'm gonna be a script writer. And then one day they come in and go, hey, that director is not going to show up for this. You wrote it. Any chance you can direct it? And it was a commercial for a local gas station. I'm like, I can do that. I wrote it. I can see it, because in my educational process, they said, imagine this in your mind's eye, a theater. And if you can do that, and the curtain opens and you can visualize everything that's going to happen on that big screen, you can make it in real life. And just knowing the science, the art, and the craft of storytelling and how it all works. So there I am saying yes again. Here I am directing my first commercial shoot. It goes well. Everything is cool. So you know what they do, right? They're like, you're going to be a writer and a director. That's where you're going to sit right now. And that was with Comcast NBC. And
Okay.
so I started doing that work and started doing commercials out of that. Well, that turned into a much bigger fish, because they're like, hey, can you oversee and do budget line items for a bunch of projects at once? Yeah, I could do that. Well, that's a producer, right, in that world. So now I'm like managing multiple projects while I'm writing, while I'm directing, and then Universal Studios gets involved, and there's a big giant machine that's now happening underneath me. My desk remained where it was, but the banner flag over my head kept changing, tick, 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 because storytelling was still essential for everything. And so I got a chance to, oh my goodness, I had a chance to travel. I had a chance to do this work in faraway places like middle of China, mainland China. I've been I've been in helicopters, submarines, buildings, cars. I've been in buildings that were, because of special effects blown apart. So I've been inside these environments where everything is being put together. And I've just been on movie sets, and I've been in television locations. And then, of course, my own stuff starts kicking around where, like, I'm a creative. I just want to continually create. And that's kind of where it started to kick. And so I started working on these giant projects. And then one day, and this is a very, it's a visceral story, but this is a turning point in my life. And we all have those, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Where my home community of Newtown, Connecticut, of course, that's where Sandy Hook School was. And, you know, there was the shooting there. Well, that shooting changed the trajectory of what I was doing in my life and what was happening around me, of course, with everybody as well. But I was personally involved in that. I knew one of the children personally, and that I knew my church was heavily involved in what was going on, and all these things were kicking around me. And so these beautiful comfort dogs show up to give us everyone kind of a moment of peace and grace. And I started seeing the healing, and that was personal for me. But at work, they were like, a few months later, what, can you do a story about this somehow, something you choose? Well, we had all been through all of it already, right? And I'm like, I got to do about healing, because I started learning the things that are within us need to come out of us. And when you're a creative and you're under a lot of stress, strain, or pain, we create from those arts, don't we? We pull ourselves through it. And that was part of what I was doing when I created Wags and Tales, which was a short series with a puppet, literally a puppet named Wags, and the story about these dogs in our community. I put that little piece together, and I went back into Newtown, my hometown area, all the people I knew, created this story from way deep inside, put that out into the world, take a breather. I find out that it's nominated for an Emmy, and then I end up at the Emmys. And now, incredible how that works out. I'm also you got to imagine working in this industry, a big movie buff, of course, a sci-fi fan, right? That's all part of it, I think. And, you know, and I was always a fan of Star Trek and Star Wars and all those. Well, it turns out Leonard Nimoy's there that night, and I have a chance to have dinner with him, talk to him, sit with him. Oh my goodness, all at the same time, all at the Emmys. And I was able to, my name was called, and I went up to state, got the Emmy. Incredible how it goes. So it was an overnight success, which really doesn't exist. It took years and years and years to get to that point. But even deeper than that, which I did not realize, coming through learning how to do the craft, going back to the days I was in the backyard doing that Robin Hood stuff, that one day the best work came from digging deep within self and trying to understand the world in a way that made sense in a time that it didn't make sense at all. And that was through that tragedy, which still affects me personally and so many. And it was my tribute to at least do something about that. But it had to be about something with healing. And that's where I kind of gravitated toward. And ever since, I've been a heart-centered storyteller. Yeah. And so I help brands, people, businesses, I help them find the teddy bear in the data or the Nona in the kitchen, you know, the thing that's behind them all the time, and try to bring that to life for them. And that's kind of been my quick nutshell journey up to this day.
Oh, I know. And that was how we connected, because we were talking, you were telling me about that. And then I was telling you about the bunny talk process. Oh. And it was just, we both were going, oh, and it was a magical, I think we must have been chatting for a really good meaty half hour, weren't we?
Absolutely.
And it was just like, you know, I'll remember it forever, because we had such a connection talking about that. And so we are friends.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think you're wonderful. And I honestly, just spending time with you and listening to all of the other things that I know about you, it's just incredible. But isn't that interesting again? Through play.
Yes, it was through play. Through play, just like, right. And that's where we connected so deeply.
Yeah.
And you're and then, you know, I mean, you know your story. I know parts of your story. I'm sure your audience knows your story a bit too, but oh my goodness, it's not, It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's just finding the one thing. And that one thing may only speak to one person. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm used to in my world having to speak to many people with many different things. But if I just reach the one, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And you think that way. Think that way. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how it started. Because you and I just love this. I love this so much, Ken. Okay, so tell us right now, who might you be wanting to work with to tell their story about their healing and how you can bring that in, because it's heart-centered work you do.
Yeah.
It's heart-centered work I do. So tell me more how anyone listening to this may feel led to working with you, Ken, to tell
Yeah.
their story.
No, I appreciate that. You know, I'm often called upon to kind of come into a room and just enhance the conversation. Really, that happens a lot. Having done this for 25 something years, you start to realize there are certain patterns in the lived human experience, right? And how we see the world, and how we can visualize the world, for brands and businesses and individuals. It changes all the time. I have been blessed to be in a place where, while the technology is completely changing and I adopt the technology all the time, what doesn't change is the human heart. And so, by understanding the human heart, tapping into the human heart and what we feel as humans, connecting to our humanity, it's the bridge to real understanding. And so, if you're a brand, you're a business, you're an individual that's just trying to figure out your messaging, your voice, you need some story direction, or you need a creative team to wrap around you, or you need a creative lead to wrap around your team and help them out, that's where I play in. I can help you tell your story, create your story, refine it, define it, distribute it, and have you really just show who you are. A lot of the times people will they'll talk about product or service, right? It's not so much about the product and service, but it's about the human on the other end of that product service. What makes that product and service alive is the living person you're putting it for. So by understanding them, you're able to make that product and service come alive. And that's what I really love to do, is help people figure that part out and come alongside them. I have been brought in as production only basis for a project here and there. I've also been brought in on retainer for teams over the course of time to give that little extra push, to give that little extra lift, to walk them through the process, to teach and mentor. I do it all the time. I'm always teaching and always mentoring, just naturally. I was recently called up to Connecticut to be a judge for a film festival.
Oh, wow.
Again, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a community film festival, so not anything big time, but big time because it's celebrating creativity. I'm a huge fan. I don't care what you're working on. I'm celebrating you if you're a creative. It's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there. And so I was called in to be a part of a judging panel and be on stage and judge the films. And I'll tell you what, the most excitement that I saw that night was from the age group between 6th and 8th grader filmmakers. Like, these are kids, right? But they are loving the art of storytelling. Now that brings me back to Robin Hood in the backyard, because and they have tools I didn't have, and they are embracing it, and they are just driving it home, and their excitement was contagious, and it was just the biggest smiles I've ever seen. And that's the stuff. If we can mentor that next generation, and then lift them up so that they're doing it, and they're doing it for the right reasons, and they want to make it happen, then what is it all for, right? We're just creating things, and we're creating community. And so that's where another place where I play in is I help you create community of creatives. I've known so many around the country because of my time, and I have a lot of connections, amazing connections that are doing tremendous work, both here in the States and across the pond and around the world. So it's just a matter of connecting those things. It's turning zeros and ones into hearts and hugs, and it's turning words into embracing messaging that you feel inside. That's the art of science.
it's the feeling inside.
It's all about feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's an art and a science to storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
The art is just that. How do I communicate with you as a human being? How do I have you feel what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
not just show you? The science is all the technology and all the other parameters we use. That's great. Understanding both is key. Understanding both is key.
Mm-hmm.
And so by pulling that in, that's what I try to do for folks, is to have both worlds, not just one or the other.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love this. And I find that so important. The feeling inside, because in my opinion, there aren't the words to tell it. It's how somebody literally, feels, because there's like warm, fuzzy feelings and all these other made up words that
Yes.
people have that there aren't enough words for. And it's just, it's like whiz bang wallop, it's whatever it is, there's just not enough. But people know it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
what's that word?
Yeah. And I've written, I write, so I'm a writer, director, producer. So I've written script and I've written dialogue with made up words. Because it made sense. It made sense for the dialogue, but it also makes you go, what did they just say? And therein lies the tale. When someone leans in and goes, what did I just see? What did they just say? That's exactly what you want in storytelling. You want them engaged in what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. They get curious.
They lean in a little bit. Yeah.
I want some of that.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, I love this. I love this, Ken. You and I could probably speak for hours. Absolutely. And it's an absolute pleasure having you on here, and we'll get your details in the show notes so that people can get in touch with you, because you have shown your heart, you've shown that you care, and I know you're an absolute delight to work with. So absolutely loved having you on here. So thank you so much, Ken. And everybody, thank you for watching. And it's goodbye from me, Claudia Rickard, and it's goodbye from Ken Fay. So thank you for watching, everybody. See you. Bye. Bye now.